Hello, dear friends, and Happy New Year 2018. We've been reading and watching in the news for several days the people in Iran protesting against their government, not just the government, but the religious part of the government. One thing I have not seen covered as much in the mechanics of the cable news companies is this end of it on this website here. The women defy Islamic dress code as anti-government protest sweeps. We're not seeing that element as much. And here we see protests beginning Thursday sparked by economic unrest in Iran have quickly turned into massive demonstrations, not just against economic policy, but against the Islamist-controlled government as a whole. And that's something I'm not seeing reported a lot, although I don't watch a lot of the cable news companies. Do check in on them. These gatherings are the largest form of anti-government demonstrations in the Middle Eastern country since 2009. This has been going on. And so I'm looking around and I see, here's an article in The Atlantic, "The Battle for Iran. Change will not come easily, peacefully, or soon," which is probably true. The protest movements in the Middle East face enormous repressive hurdles and rarely have happy endings. Even when protesters succeed in toppling an autocrat, they've rarely succeeded in ending autocracy. In Iran, the obstacles to success are daunting. Whereas most Middle Eastern countries are ruled by secular autocrats focused on repressing primarily Islamist opposition, Iran is an Islamist autocracy focused on repressing secular opposition. This dynamic, unarmed, unorganized, leaderless citizens seeking economic dignity and pluralism versus a heavily armed, organized, rapacious ruling theocracy that espouses martyrdom is not a recipe for success. And so we can see some of the consequences for people protesting. Here's 2 reportedly killed after Iranian forces opened fire on protesters as demonstrators continue for 3rd day. And let's see. 2 people are thought to have died after a 3rd day of protest in Iran. This is the Telegraph. And here we have 3 women protesters arrested in southwest Tehran. 11 persons, including 3 women, were arrested in Paran Sunday night, December 31st. I guess that was last night. Paran is located in Robat Karam, southwest of Tehran. Abdullah Pashaki, the state security force commander of Rabat Karam in southwest Tehran, announced that those arrested were among the protest leaders and active protesters. And so they've looks like they've hung a sign here of the opposition leader, and there's a video which is not really that helpful. It shows people walking by the sign, not a real big thing to show. But the important thing is, a few days ago, we heard that, it says here 3 days ago, Iranian police in Tehran announced women who break Islamic dress code no longer face arrest. Okay, so after the 1979 revolution, women were forced to wear long garments and to cover their hair. It says, this is on the Independent UK, police in Iran's capital said that they will no longer arrest women for failing to observe the Islamic dress code in place since the 1979 revolution. The announcement signaled an easing of punishments for violating the country's conservative dress code, as called for by the young and reform-minded Iranians who helped re-elect President Hassan Rouhani, a relative moderate, earlier this year. But hardliners opposed to easing such rules still dominate Iran's security forces and judiciary, so it is unclear whether the change would be fully implemented. Now, Hassan Rouhani is the civilian leader, but there's also the religious leaders who actually, in effect, rule the country and have been since 1979. So here's the thing. Women are courageously protesting, wearing the hijab. We see, examples of this young lady who's standing there holding something that represents a hijab, waving it, risking arrest, imprisonment, and torture, possibly death. And so now we got memes showing up. Resistance, freedom, feminism, liberty is this. That woman risking her life, not that. And what that is the World Hijab Day, who, let's see, Munira Ahmed, the woman who became the face of Trump resistance. And what they're telling you is women, to achieve freedom from the patriarchy, I guess, have to imprison themselves in religious symbolism, the symbolism of the exact opposite of freedom. So yes, in the West, this woman has she has that luxury of putting that on or not putting that on. But in parts of the world we're looking at, like Iran, she doesn't have that luxury, and that's what these brave women are fighting for. So people like this woman and LInda Sarsour, who is telling us, let's see, she says that wearing a hijab is spreading a beautiful message in the West, whereas in Iran, courageous women risk their lives daring to remove the oppressive hijab. So LInda Sarsour is taking a beating, at least on my Twitter feed, for spreading sharia, which represses women, and saying, you know, we should wear this symbol of women's oppression. And speaking of World Hijab Day, here's two activists, Asra Namani and Majid Nawaz, and what they have to say about this World Hijab Day. And Asra Namani says, as Muslim women, we actually ask you not to wear the hijab in the name of interfaith solidarity, going on to say this modern day movement spreads an ideology of political Islam. Whereas Muslim reformer Majid Nawaz accuses the day as being a well-financed effort by conservative Muslims to dominate modern Muslim society, and says that the event spreads the misleading interpretation that the head covering is always worn voluntarily and that hijab purely means headscarf. He also described the event as worse than passé, suggesting that the name be changed to Hijab is a Choice Day. Good point. So these people that want to have people who have the freedom to put on these garments of oppression are in stark contrast to these brave women who are risking their lives, imprisonment, torture, to not wear it. It's just amazing. It's really amazing that here's a tweet on the right. Sweden's self-proclaimed feminist government, while visiting Iran, enforced headscarves. See that? They're wearing headscarves. And then you have a true feminist Iranian woman taking off her headscarf in public and getting arrested for it. I don't know if she got arrested for it, but anyway, she risks getting arrested for it. And here she is again. Someone says a woman in Iran appears in public without a headscarf, holding her compulsory hijab on a stick in a courageous act of defiance. Meanwhile, clueless feminists in America have taken to wearing hijabs. Here's a woman who is talking about the hijab. So,
the burkini and the veil in general is not an innocent piece of clothing. It is indeed the symbol of discrimination. The philosophy behind the hijab or veil, which is based on theology, deprives women of their rights and freedom and makes them dependent of the man, who should give his permission for every single thing. Like, for example, even the right to study, work, or even the right to leave home. This philosophy makes women live like second-class citizens, with all the humiliation that comes with it. It disempowers and marginalizes women. Choosing to wear a burkini or a veil can't be seen as freedom of choice. Don't forget that the Muslim women who pretend to choose this are grown up with the indoctrination by their families and community, who believe that wearing a veil is a good choice to be a good woman and to obtain more respect of the community.
Now, in contrast to what the LInda Sarsours and this World Hijab Day woman have to say, we have the chess champion. Now we're talking about heroes on one side, the heroes of the women in Iran facing imprisonment or death or torture, and this chess champion refuses to defend titles in Saudi Arabia in women's rights protests. Now, these are the true feminist heroes, in my opinion. And this is just recently. This just happened because she was asked. I'll read the article. A Ukrainian chess champion is prepared to lose her 2 world titles rather than defend them in a tournament held in Saudi Arabia. Anna Mushchuk, the reigning women's world champion in both rapid and blitz chess, said she would skip the lucrative event to protest the treatment of women in that country. In a recent Facebook post, the 27-year-old said she decided not to go to Saudi Arabia because she did not want to play by someone else's rules, including being made to wear abaya, the loose-fitting garment the country usually requires women to cover themselves with while in public. She also said she was opposed to being a company getting outside and being made to feel like a secondary creature. Now these are the things, what she's protesting about at great loss to herself. She's not fearing death or torture or imprisonment like the women in Iran, who the heroes protesting Islamic and Sharia law. But she's risking her career. She's risking a small fortune. I think it's millions of dollars she's not going to win. And these are the true heroes, whereas the feminists in the West they're butthurt over Donald Trump's tweets. I don't like the guy, but you know what? If that's your worst thing, then go live in Iran and you know, geez, or have to give away your career or millions of dollars because they want to treat you like second-class people, like cattle. So the true heroes are not these goofballs that want you to cover yourself up because of some Islamic dress code and want you to adhere to Sharia law. The true heroes are these women risking their lives and their well-being and their freedom. Thank you. Have a great year.